Hello everyone, welcome to First Step Games. What we're playing today is Pandemic. It's a 2 to 4 player cooperative game published by Z-Man Games where you play members of a research team that are trying to cure 4 diseases that are outbreaking across the globe. All you need to do is cure 4 diseases. 4 diseases doesn't sound that hard, except here's how you lose the game. If you get 8 outbreaks, you run out of player cards, or any one disease runs out of cubes. And figure out which role we will be playing. So let's do role first. There's 7 roles possible in this game for the second edition that we're playing, and we're gonna choose them at random.
Really hoping for anything but dispatcher. Let's go. Ooh, this one right here. Dispatcher. Okay. Well, that'll happen, I guess.
We really did not play that.
Luck of the draw.
You want to shuffle this one?
This is the worst game I've ever played.
Don't say that. You haven't even actually played it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just kidding.
Alright, here we go. I want this one. Contingency planner. That's not fun. Alright, so the color on your roll card corresponds to which sort of pawn token you're going to be playing. So I'm teal, Mike will be purple.
Or mauve, as some of us would say.
Or mauve. And then we're going to deal out player cards. For a 2-player game, you're going to get 4 player cards.
So, and while Phil's shuffling, for those of you who aren't entirely sure what these roll cards do, each person basically has special abilities they can do. Like dispatcher, as you can imagine, can move other pieces around the board with, of course, the permission of the other player. Or they can move themselves to the same city as another player. While Contingency Planner is able to use some of these player cards that have special abilities on them more than one time, which can become useful later in the game.
So in the player deck, they're called event cards. Some of those are special free actions. They can be played at any time. They don't have to be played on your turn. So once those go into the player discard pile, the contingency planner, as an action, can take it from there and use it later. Now, that means that once he uses it the one time after it's been discarded, it's going to be removed from the game. So it's really only you get an extra shot at doing it. But those can come into they can be real helpful later in the game. So we're going to deal out 4 cards to each of us. And then what we're going to do is include these epidemic cards, which are really kind of the heart of the game. So what we want to do is there's going to have 3 steps that'll happen, and we'll discuss this when the epidemics come up. But we're going to shuffle these into the deck. We're going to divide it into 4 equal piles. I don't want to get these confused. Those are mine. My short one. I put it on top of one. About equal. And then we're going to put one of these epidemic cards in each of these piles and then combine all the piles together. So go ahead and shuffle them. A lot of shuffling in this game, just be warned. And if you try to do the bridge with these, I will murder you. Because I hate when people do that.
Good to know.
It ruins the cards, people. Don't do the bridge. You do them with players.
We do third grader shuffles here.
Yeah,
Only.
exactly. You could do like poker shuffling where they just spread it all over the table and
Is that official poker
make
shuffling?
a muss, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you
I should probably include this card.
You should put the epidemic in there because that matters. I need to go on top. So now we can look at our own hands. So I have Santiago, Buenos Aires, Mumbai, and Karachi.
And then I have Delhi, Algiers, and we were talking about those event cards. I actually started off with 2 of those. One being the forecast and one being the resilient population.
Mm-hmm.
Normally I don't like getting those too early in the game.
But I think it might help us with the fact that I'm the contingency planner. So if we get into trouble real quick, I can use my ability and help us out. So.
Exactly.
Now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out where the infection or the diseases start. So we're going to flip over 9 cards total, 3 in one pile, 3 in the other, and 3 in the third. We're going to go 3 disease cubes, 2 disease cubes, and 1 disease cube. So we've got Manila over here. That's going to be red. It's going to get 3. Moscow. It's going to get 3 black. I'll be controlling the red and black disease cubes. Michael will be taking care of the blue and yellow.
And then our last one with 3 is going to be Los Angeles.
And then, so 2 disease cubes will go in Algiers, which Algiers is here. And we only get 2 of them there.
San Francisco. So 2 for San Francisco.
Yep. And 2 for Sydney, all the way down here. And then 1 will go in Bangkok. 1 will go in Beijing. Lots of red so far. Beijing. And Montreal will get 1. So blue and Montreal. Okay. And these are going to go into our discard pile, and that's going to be the start of it. So, the way you decide who goes first is you look at your player cards, and whoever has the city with the largest population will go first. Some people like to play where whoever was sick the last goes first, but we'll do it this way for now. So I've got Mumbai, which is at 16 million.
Delhi with 22 million.
You'll go first then.
All right. So I think I'll handle what we've got here over by our home base first, move towards Los Angeles. So I'll use 1 move to go to Chicago, 1 other action to go to Los Angeles. And I'm just going to remove 2 of them from Los Angeles now since I'm already here. I'm using my last 2 actions. So that'll be my turn.
Yeah.
And now I have to flip over 2 player cards. The first one being Baghdad, which will go to my hand. And second one is Epidemic, first turn.
All right. So, remember how I said explain it? We'll explain it now. So what we're going to first do is increase the infection rate. We're going to move this token up 1. It's still at a value of 2. So that means at the end of every turn, we'll flip over 2 of these infection cards. Now, the second step is to infect a brand new city. This city will get 3 disease tokens on it, and it's going to be Riyadh. Oops. And Riyadh will get a 3 and go down here. Now here's where Pandemic gets dangerous. So remember this discard pile? We're going to shuffle it all together, and it's going to go back onto the top of this. So basically every city that we've put cubes in has the potential to get cubes again. Not has the potential, will be. So
I could forecast at this point if I want to.
if you want to.
Right now, since we have 3 different cities that have 3 disease cubes on them, there's a good chance that an outbreak could occur, which leads to us getting closer to losing the game. So what I'm going to do is use my event card, this forecast, and that allows me to look at the top 6 cards of this deck here and rearrange them in any order I want to. So that might be able to stave off the infection for another turn.
Yeah.
So that will go to this card. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
And I'm not going to look at these, and he's not going to tell me. Even though it's a cooperative game, we want to make sure that everybody makes their own decisions and they're not so influenced by the team. So I'm going to let him kind of decide what to do.
All right. And
So now that was still part of Michael's player card phase. So we still have to flip over 2 cards from this infection deck for the end of his turn. So Los Angeles, and these are just going to get 1 cube at a time. No more 3 cubes or 2 cubes for now. And Montreal will get 1 blue cube. Okay. So now it'll be my turn. For my first action, I'm going to charter a flight. I'm going to discard one of my player cards for Karachi and fly my character directly to there. And then I'll spend one more move action to do that, and then 2 actions to remove 2 disease cubes. So each turn you get 4 actions. Most of those are move or cure diseases, which you only treat 1 disease cube at a time per city. Now the other actions you can do are you can just move 1 single space like Michael did the other turn. If you're in a particular city that you have a a player card of, you can use that as a plane ticket to fly anywhere else, again, by discarding it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my 2 player cards. I'm going to get Shanghai and Bogota. Now you can only have a max hand size of 7 cards, and you immediately have to rectify. So once we get to 7, I'll draw 1 card, discard another one, and then draw another card and discard another to get to 7. And event cards do play into that hand limit. So now I'm going to do 2 more cities. I'm going to get Sydney for 1 and Algiers for 1. So now my turn's over, and it's going to be Michael's.
All right, so since Phil looks like he's got the black disease cubes under control over here, I'm going to try and take care of the red ones. From Los Angeles, I can travel straight to Sydney in 1 turn. I will take off the cubes. That will put me at 2 actions, and then I will move to Manila and also lessen the threat there for my 4th action.
That'll be good.
And that'll be my turn here, so I'll move on to the player cards. Sydney and Taipei. So we're starting to accumulate quite a few cards. In the turns coming up, it might be a good idea for us to try and cure some of the diseases, but we'll see what we have. No guarantees here in this game. Riyadh is the first infection.
So that's mine.
So we'll add 1 to Riyadh. And Manila. So we'll add 1 to Manila as well.
Manila, all right.
So no outbreaks yet, but we're hoping that stays that way.
For my first action, I'm going to use my contingency planner special ability and take forecast from the discard pile. And I'm going to put it over my player card so I know that's there. Again, still counts towards my hand, but I want to keep it just for later. I think we're kind of okay for now, but we'll see. So I'll go 1, I'm sorry, that's my second action, so 2, 3, and 4 to remove Algiers. Then I'll draw Tehran and Khartoum. So now I'm at 7 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to have to rectify.
We are in a position to cure black, so
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to get rid of red because I've got, in order to cure a disease, you need 5 matching color cards. And then you have to get to any research station. We start out with 1 in Atlanta, but if you were to discard a card, you could build a research station in that town. So right now I want to hold on to my black ones because I'm in that area, so I could potentially build a research station later in the game. And those stay on the map for the entirety of the game. And I'm 1 away from being able to discover a cure for yellows. So I'm going to keep my yellow cards. Red was kind of an outlier, so I wanted to get rid of that. Before I do my infection rate cards, I'm going to play forecast. So we're going to remove that from the game, actually, because of my contingency planner ability. So I'm going to look at the top 6 cards and rearrange them how I wish. Let's see. So I've got 6. I think one of the good things about Pandemic is you really learn your geography for certain cities after a certain point, after so many playthroughs. Okay, that's not that bad. Yeah. Okay. So that's going to go there. And then now I'll flip over my 2 cities. So Beijing will get 1. And Bangkok will get 1. There we go.
So moving on to my turn here. First off, I'm going to try and lessen the threat here again in Manila. So I'll take 2 actions for that. And I have a Taipei card in my hand. And for me, I personally like the idea of setting up a base over here early in the game so that we have a second research facility.
Sure.
So what I'll do is I'll move to Taipei with my 3rd action, and then use my Taipei player card to build a research facility on the side of the map.
As a move action, you can charter a flight between research stations. So if we run into yellows and blues start really popping up over in North America, we can, come over from here to North America and shorten the trip by about 16 turns or so. So something to keep in mind.
Exactly. So on to player cards. I'm hoping I get some blacks so I don't have to trade with Phil, but maybe that's what.
That was only 1 action. Oh no, wait.
That was my
Remove. Oh yeah, sorry. Forgot you removed 2 cubes.
I get Beijing, so I'm building up a stockpile of red here again. And Montreal, that's the first blue we've seen all game, so that's good to have some out there. And I'm at
rectifier.
I'm at 7.
Nope, you're at 7.
So I'm at 7 cards, so I just have to be careful this next turn.
It's because you drew the epidemic card, I forgot. You can also trade player cards between people as long as you are both in the same city. So if I wanted to give Michael my Tehran card, we would both have to be in Tehran, which is kind of unlikely, but at a certain point you may have to do that just because you may be drawing dry and you want to get that disease gone. So we'll do 2 more cities from here. Delhi, get 1 black card. Where's Delhi? I looked at it earlier. I didn't know why I couldn't find it again. And London, we'll get a blue. Okay. So now for my turn, I'm going to go 1, 2 up to Moscow and remove 2 cubes from there. And then 2 cards, 1 for LA and 1 for Mexico City. So that's going to put me at 8 cards. I'm going to get rid of I'm going to keep my 2 black cards and get rid of 1 of my yellows because I have enough yellows over here and I'm closer to to cities over here, so I can build research stations and get a cure for yellow created. And that is the objective of the game, to get 4 cures for the diseases. So you have to cure the yellow, red, blue, and black. You don't have to eradicate them, but you just have to get cures for them. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Now I'll flip over 2 more cities. San Francisco will get 1 blue cube, and Moscow will get 1 black cube. So using that forecast card allowed me to see in the future and see that Moscow was going to come, so I had to buy myself time to get over to Moscow and prevent an outbreak.
All right, so for me right now, the point is kind of managing the diseases until we get a position where we can start curing them. So San Francisco is looking a little scary. So I will charter a flight back to this research station here in Atlanta for 1 action, 2 to Chicago, 3 to San Francisco, and then remove 1 of these cubes to get rid of that threat. And on to player cards.
No epidemic. Kolkata.
On your side there.
No.
This
player
is
cards.
The Kolkata goes to my hand. Now I'm at 8, so I have to instantly rectify. At this point, I'm going to get rid of Montreal because we haven't discarded any blue cards yet, so there's a good chance we'll get some more coming up.
And with not as many blues as blacks and reds on the map.
Epidemic.
I told you not to, Michael.
Unfortunately, I don't listen very well, but so that's our second one already.
Yeah. So again, we're going to increase the infection rate. So we're still at a value of 2, but if we get another epidemic card, we're going to go up to 3 and then potentially 4. So we're going to infect a brand new city with 3 disease cubes, and that will be Shanghai. Really didn't want to see a red. 3 and Shanghai. But it's close to a research station, so that's something. And then we're going to
before Phil gets too far into it, I'm going to use my resilient population and remove that Shanghai card from the game to reduce the risk of it coming up now and causing an outbreak.
So Shanghai will be removed from the game. We don't have to worry about Shanghai any further. Unless there were to be an outbreak in Beijing or any of the surrounding cities for it. So again, we're still going to draw 2 cards after this. Alright, 2. Moscow, we'll get 1. Moscow is a bit of a worry right now. And then Montreal, we'll get 1 blue cube. Alright. For my first action, I'm going to get rid of one of these guys.
And keep in mind, if you end on terrain, I can warp over there and steal a card from you.
You would only be able to steal my Terran card.
Then that would put me up to 5.
But I want to build a research station in Terran and cure yellow.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But then we can make our way down to Mumbai. It's only 2 extra spaces.
Sure.
And you can, as a dispatcher, you can move me.
Sure. that makes
So
sense.
maybe we could do that for... So
Let's try out.
Yeah. I'm going to go second action to move, third action to discard Terran and build a research station. Then I'm going to discard all 5 of my yellow cards and create a cure for the disease of yellow. Yeah,
Taipei if you need to, and start taking out Shanghai and Beijing.
I think that's going to be the best idea. So I'm going to charter a shuttle flight between research stations for 1 action, 2, 3, 4. Because then if Michael wants to next turn, he can move me to Beijing for one of his actions, so I could cure that potentially. Alright, so player cards. Please no epidemics. Miami, yellow card, it's not really beneficial to us anymore, and Moscow, black card, not going to be beneficial to us unless I have to move over there. Yeah, and then I'm going to infect 2 new cities. Bangkok will get 1, put us at risk of an outbreak there, and Algiers will get 1. So again, risk of an outbreak.
Alright, so my obvious first action here is going to be curing black. So I'll discard these 5, which will open up my hand for a little more space here in the long run. And we have cured black. So we're halfway towards our goal, but we see quite a bit happening on the board. So I'm going to follow in Phil's footsteps and also fast travel to Taipei, but I think I'm going to go down through Bangkok to take care of what's happening there.
Well, it would be faster if you just went over to Chennai to Bangkok if you're going to do that.
Or, well, my other option is going towards Sydney, is what my original thought was.
So if you go to Sydney, that'll be smart, but I think
Well, either one would take the same amount of moves. So, let me rethink this move here. So, coming from Mumbai, if I just go into Bangkok, 2 and 3, I can remove 1 coup from Bangkok here on this turn, which helps to alleviate some of the pressure there.
Yeah. Player cards. Be something good.
Lima, again, not too beneficial, but could be good. And Lagos.
Alright.
And now, infections. We have Hong Kong
Get 1.
and Johannesburg.
But because we have eradicated yellow, no disease cubes will get placed out. So we're fine on yellows. It's just kind of a free turn, essentially. Now for my turn, I think I'm going to cure 1 here in Shanghai, go up to Beijing and use 2 actions to clear it. That way you can move to me next turn and we can trade Beijing cards. And that'll get me to 4, depending on what I draw here. So I'm going to flip over 2 cards, Atlanta, and that'll put me at 6 cards, so I'll be fine, and London. So, I mean, we've got some blues, some reds going, but we'll see how we're doing. So 2 new cities will get a cube. Mumbai. And Cairo. Cairo's a new one.
Right. So, as Phil mentioned, I have the option this turn, going to Beijing and trading cards with him. I could also go through and try to manage some more diseases, but I'm willing to take the risk this turn because the likelihood of us needing to return to Beijing later is pretty slim. So,
Why don't you cure as many diseases here, and then as your last action, move up here, because I can trade on my turn.
Mhm.
So I think maybe making the most out of your resources down here, and then jumping up to me as your last action would be a good idea.
So
I guess you can, yeah.
I think what I'm going to do here is get rid of these two Bangkok cubes here.
Right over here.
And then just to use all my actions, I'll move to Hong Kong, and then I'll use my dispatch power to move to the same city as Phil and end my turn there.
Okay.
There's a chance we could get
There's
an
probably
epidemic
an
card coming up.
epidemic.
But Chennai, again, not a big issue for us.
I'll help with
And
you.
epidemic, I called that one. So far I'm the bad luck of out of our
Yeah.
team here, but we'll see what happens.
Well, it's going to be all right. So again, we'll move the infection rate up. We'll draw a new city, Osaka. Again, didn't want it to be red, but that's just how it goes. And now, because our value is at 3 for this infection rate, we're going to draw 3 cards instead of 2 like we had been earlier.
And the risk of an outbreak is pretty high now because we have 4 cities with 3 disease cubes on the board at this point.
But black ones are all right because we have a cure for it. So again, one action will, remove it, and we don't have any outbreaks previously. So I think we'll be okay. We can, get into some good positions. And maybe on your last turn, what you should have done is come to me and then cure that one in Beijing. Yeah, I'll be all right. That's fine. It's a game. It's not supposed to be perfect every time, except for when I play. All right. You want to do it, or do you want me to?
It's your turn.
All right.
Or it's my turn, actually.
It is
You're
your
close
turn.
to the card, so.
3 cities now. Moscow. At risk of an infection there. Mumbai. Risk of an outbreak. Nope, not there. And Osaka. So the one we just happened to draw as the new city to be infected came up. So what happens is, first the outbreak meter goes up 1. That signifies that we have had 1 outbreak. And then every town connected to Osaka will gain a red disease cube. So it's not that bad, because what happens sometimes is reactions chain and cause more outbreaks. So we don't want that to happen. And only really 2 cities are getting affected by this one. So Tokyo and Taipei will each gain a red disease cube. So I think that turn was not too bad for us. So it's my turn now. For my first action, I would like that Beijing card if you don't mind.
Sure thing.
Thank you. And that's going to put me at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to get rid of Miami. The disease is eradicated. I don't see myself having to go to Miami again. It's not really that close to anything, so I'm going to get rid of it. Keep my Moscow card just in case I want to get over there. And actually, I think I do. I think I want to get to Moscow and help start taking care of these blacks.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to discard Moscow and fly directly to Moscow. So those 2 actions. And because we have a cure, I'm going to spend 1 action to get rid of 3 of these disease cubes. And I'll go 4 to Istanbul just to set myself up for the next turn. And I will draw 2 cards. So Ho Chi Minh City, which gives me 5 red cards, which means I can create a cure for reds now. And Cairo. And that's going to put me over. I don't see Cairo being beneficial to me, so I'm going to get rid of Cairo. Mm-hmm. And 3 cities this time. Hopefully not Algiers. Riyadh. Sydney. All right, so outbreak. I'm going to move us up 1 on the outbreak meter. And Jakarta and Manila are connected, but also Los Angeles is. Even though it is a yellow city, other disease cubes can come into that don't coordinate to that color. So that's kind of one of the risky things about it, is now on the other side of the globe, we've got red diseases popping up. So yeah. Oh, and one more city. Beijing. So there we go. And my turn will be done.
Okay.
So Michael, I think maybe getting me to a research station would be a good idea.
Here's that.
Sure.
So, as Phil was saying, getting him to a research station could be beneficial, but from my standpoint, he'll be able to within his next turn.
Sure.
In either way. What I'm worried about now is particularly the reds and the blacks being diminished here, because once we don't have disease cubes to put on the board, we could lose the game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little bit of both, I think. So first,
Sure.
I'll remove these 2 cubes from Beijing to give us a little more leeway in the red. And then with Phil's permission, I'll move him to Terrain to
Sure.
the research station. And so that'll end my turn. We'll look at these 2 play cards, San Francisco
That's good. That's getting the blues we need.
and Johannesburg. So I have a lot of yellows, but
Yeah.
what can you do? All right, so now 3 cities to infect. London, San Francisco, which is unfortunately an outbreak.
Yep.
So we'll
Settle on the outbreak.
advance this again, and we'll have 1 blue in Los Angeles and 1 blue in Chicago,
And then also it goes over to Tokyo.
Tokyo, and Manila. So that was not one of the best areas for that to occur.
It's actually fine. It has to be a same colored one to cause an outbreak. So no outbreak in Manila. Normally, if a red cube were to enter Manila at this point, it would cause an outbreak. But because it's blue, we're fine. So, yep, that was fine. That was a rough turn. But so we did. Did we draw 3?
And
Hold on.
no.
No, we did London and San
The
Francisco.
last one, Hong Kong.
Which will be right here. Okay. So for my first action, I'm going to discard 5 red cards and discover a cure for red disease. I think its name is Larry.
Larry, the red
Larry,
disease.
The red disease. Doesn't make sense, but we like it. And then I'm going to charter a flight to Taipei.
Hold on a second there.
Sure.
Because I'm going to be able to get to Manila within my next turn. Has Manila come up already?
Manila has not come up. That's why I'm worried about it
Sounds
this
good.
turn. So I'm going to go fly to Taipei for my second action. Third action will be to Manila. And for a fourth one, because we have a cure now, I'm going to remove all 3 of the red cubes. The blue cube will still stay there because I don't have the actions to do it, and we don't have a cure for it, so I'm just going to let it kind of be. Now I'll draw 2 cards. 1 Quiet Night. So this is an event card where I skip the Infect City step of whatever turn that is, which I may have to use, and then New York. So I've got 3 blue cards. Michael has 2 blue cards. So maybe we want to get into position to be in kind of blue cities like Washington and San Francisco to cure that. But we also have to worry about outbreaks. So I'm going to risk it this turn. I'm not going to use 1 Quiet Night because I think I'm pretty confident. So Johannesburg, it's fine because we've eradicated yellow. Montreal will get 1. And Los Angeles, we've eradicated yellow. Even though there's still disease cubes there, yellow does not come up. So it's kind of good that I didn't use this 1 Quiet Night this turn. Because we're fine. We're kind of fine. So, my turn will be over.
So at this point in the game, even though we're close to potentially winning, we really need to manage what's happening right now. So I would assume that Phil or I could either sweep down through here. The issue right now is that we have 3 different colors to deal with.
Yeah.
There's only 2 of us. And since our final destination here is hopefully going to be around the blues, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and sweep through one of the different areas first before going there. So
Sure.
options are either come through red or come through black. try to sweep those areas. And that it could go either way at this point.
Yeah. It's really about the luck of the draw sometimes in this game. And yeah, it's, again, luck of the draw. So we've got to kind of hope for good things.
I have visions of this chance to win it in my eyes. So what I'm going to do is try to move here to Osaka. And then if Phil goes to Sydney on his next turn, we could both end up close to the areas where we need to make these trades and
Sure.
kind of deal with some of the blue infection as well.
Sure.
So I'm going to sweep down to Osaka, use one action to clear with the cure on the table, and end my turn in Osaka.
All right. So 2 player cards.
Istanbul, which will put me at 7, and Osaka. Right now, I'm in Osaka, so actually that could be beneficial in the next
Yeah,
turn because I
because
could
you
fly
could-
to anywhere I want to.
So
So I'm going to get rid of Chennai because it's kind of hanging out here down.
or get rid
away
of
from-
yellows so you can save those for flights potentially. Okay.
Either way.
All right. So I'm going to play One Quiet Night. I'm going to prevent us from flipping over infection card cities because I got lucky on the last turn. I don't think I'm going to get lucky again. I'm going to play that. And that's a free action, so it doesn't count towards it, but we're going to skip that step. So for my turn, I'm going to use 1 to go down to Sydney. I'm going to use 1 action to clear 3 cubes from there. Third action, I'm going to go over to Los Angeles. For my 4th action, I'm going to use my contingency planner ability and pick up One Quiet Night. And so I can use that again, potentially. And I think that's going to be all I do this turn. So I'm going to pick up Kinshasa and Chicago. So that puts me at 4 blue cards. I'll only have to get 1 from Michael. So I think maybe getting to San Francisco because you have San Francisco would be a good thing to do. So yeah, I'm going to flip over 3 cities. Let's hope for not a disastrous outbreak. Delhi will get 1 black cube. Algiers will cause an outbreak, so move us up on the outbreak meter. We're up to 4, halfway to potentially losing this game. So Madrid, Paris, Istanbul, and Cairo will all gain black disease cubes. And then Manila. So thankfully I just cleared Manila 2 turns ago, so we're pretty safe on that end. And that was 3, correct? Delhi, yep, because I did Delhi first. So yeah, my turn is over, and it's going to be Michael's turn now.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do right off the bat here is charter a flight from Osaka to San Francisco and put us in the position to possibly win next turn. And I will remove 2 cubes from San Francisco
Do you want to maybe
and
move me up?
then I'll, with Phil's permission again, I'll move him to San Francisco.
Sure. All right.
And I'll end my turn there. Let's see what happens here. Sao Paulo. And Airlift. I'm going to discard one of those random yellow ones. I'm not too worried about which one it is. I go to discard pile. And then we're ready for the infection phase.
I'm going to play One Quiet Night. I don't want to. We're so close to winning that I don't want to risk losing now. So I'm going to remove that from the game, and I'm going to prevent us from flipping over cards because I think we can do it in this next turn. We should be able to complete it. So yeah, it'll be my turn. Michael, would you like to trade me San Francisco?
I would love to.
All right, awesome. So I have 5 blue cards. So that's my first action, second, third, and for my 4th action, I will discard 5 blue cards, discover a cure for blue, and the game's over. So yeah, we won, which is good news, but we had a real close chance of losing. With as many potential outbreak cities as we had and how many outbreaks we actually did have, we were pretty close. Another way you can lose this game is if you run out of player cards to draw, and we were getting pretty low. I kind of want to see if we've had an epidemic.
Yeah, let's see where our next epidemic would have been.
So for that one, we would have been safe. And we would have been safe for a while.
So we would have had 3 turns still.
3 turns to complete it. And we may not have lost on that epidemic card, but we were getting pretty close. Bangkok, Cairo, and Tehran would have... I think we would have actually been okay for a few turns, but we didn't want to risk it, and we wanted to get the cures out there as we needed them. So yeah, thanks for watching. We appreciate it.
So that was our game of Pandemic. We won, which is the good news. But now let's look at the game itself and see if it's actually worth its value. Now, there's some things that really help this game. The amount of replayability. You know, you've got some large decks here, you know, several different cards. So I think having that allows for a great amount of kind of variety in each time you play with which city's going to be kind of in trouble and which disease is going to be more menacing than the other. You know, you saw in our game, yellow wasn't really on the board, but blacks and reds really kind of were dangerous, and blues were creeping up slowly every turn. You kind of had those in the back of your mind. Well, the next game we play may be completely different. You know, yellows may be just widespread and rampant and cause us to lose super quick, while reds and blacks kind of peter out and don't do anything. We like the high amount of production value in this game as well. All these little cubes feel nice. They're kind of very tactile, and you can kind of play with them. The pawns are nice and constructed. The board is beautiful. You get all these cities, and you know the disease is represented on each of them in their little circles. You get a lot of components, and it's a pretty good price point. I think MSRP is around $35, $40, and most of the times you can find those pretty cheap. You can play this game pretty much anywhere. Most people have it. That's the good thing. It's kind of a big name in cooperative games. These roll cards also allow for great variety. Sometimes we play where you draw it at random, but you can kind of stack the deck, or you can pick your rolls. So you can make it a little bit harder or easier on yourself. You saw contingency planner is not maybe something that's that great in a 2-player game, but in a 4-player game, you're going to want to have that. Now, the difficulty doesn't get diluted when you play with more than 2 people, and that's really good because you think it would be. You think, oh, we have more bodies on the ground, we can cure the disease faster. False. Because every turn, you draw 2 cards from here, which are the potential for the epidemic, and then you infect possibly 2 to 4 new cities every turn. So you think that, oh, with more actions we can do more stuff. The disease just keeps pace with you, and that's really good. We like to see that where it's not unfairly balanced in later if you add more people to it. We also like the fact that it's a cooperative game. There's not too many games out there that do this well. Everybody has their own kind of role, but everybody's integral to the team. Now, the problem with this is you get stuff called quarterbacking, which is where one player kind of directs everybody else. And you can see it in our game even. I'm bad about it, and I realize that. There's a certain point, because Michael had never played this game before, so it's a certain point of stopping coaching and becoming a quarterback. This game is also very accessible, because you don't have to be a scientist or even know anything about diseases to play this game. It's just a nice, great, well put together, great functioning game that is interesting every time you play it. Pandemic also has 2 expansions for it. So if you're looking to get more out of it than just the base game, there's On the Brink and In the Lab that are available for purchase. Now some of these add different, there's a kind of a mini game in one of them from what I understand. And then both of them add new roles. And I think in On the Brink, what you get is a new role card called the Bioterrorist, where it's kind of a hidden traitor card where they're trying to spread the disease rather than stop it. You know, it sounds like a good idea and sounds kind of like a fun way to add a little bit of variety to it, but I think this game has enough variety of its own, and it's just so good as its own cooperative game that adding a trader element to it just kind of defeats the purpose of this, because everybody's working for the common good in this game, and that's what I like about it, and that's what makes it so good to play with anybody you know. Definitely recommend this as a buy. It's a great purchase, great value, great replayability, and I'm sure you'll be happy with it. For watching First Step Games, we'll be back with more reviews and playthroughs of the games you love and games you may have never heard of. Thanks.